Hey guys, Lucas from iExplore here. Tonight we're going to explore Ikebukuro, which is one of my favorite hangout shooting spots. And I have the Z6 II with the 24-120 f4, which I've had before on the channel. I've talked about it, but this time I want to use it at night. Kind of emphasize that you can totally get by with f4. You don't need an f2.8 lens to do great night photography. All right. Now I also want to thank our sponsors for this video, which is portraitmode.io, which is a photo sharing website. It's kind of an alternative to Instagram. Much more photographer friendly. I've been using it for a while. I think it looks pro enough that you could use it as a portfolio site, whereas I don't really consider Instagram to be a portfolio. It's just social media to me. And the reason I like it is it really emphasizes the photos themselves. They even have an editorial or editor's choice kind of featured photo section on the front page, that kind of thing. I really appreciate that. There is also apparently a mobile app coming in the near future, so look out for that. Like I said, they sponsored our video. Click the link in the description and maybe I'll see you on there. And of course, please check out our Patreon as well if you would like to support us that way. You can do that also. Let's get on to the video.
iExplore.
All right, so we're gonna get across the street here. And actually I wanna shoot this entryway with these palm trees. I've shot this a bunch of times, love it. But I think, yeah, I could do it really wide here, but I think we're gonna shoot it actually from across the street as well. I love these blue tones here, it's amazing. And as you can see, I'm on f4 with 2/50th of a second in shutter speed. I'm not even slowing it down, although of course I could. I could take it on say a 30th. And I'm keeping the ISO really low. Totally reasonable, right? All right, let's get across the street over here as well, one to the farther side. So I really want to shoot this actually from far away. All right. And the reason I want to shoot it from there will become apparent once we get there. Okay. And of course that is because I want a long perspective. I want to be far away so things look a little bit more flat. It'd be really nice if it was raining as well, because then the ground would have this shininess in front of it. I'm going to go all the way down here, so I'm still shooting it head on, but from far away, because I got the telephoto lens here. And now, as people walk by in front of it, I will get a very lovely silhouette, okay? And let's see here we go. Okay, that guy's actual shape was not that good. His actual silhouette was kind of I'm gonna wait for a good one. Now, it's possible to do this from up close, where I was initially, right in front of it. But as you might have seen earlier, I don't know if that ended up in the video. Hold on a second, here we go. But there was a couple going by, and when they went by, they kind of scooted across because they didn't want to mess up my photo or whatever. So I find if you're right there in front of the thing, people don't really walk by in a way that looks good in the silhouette. Also, there's a bit more motion blur because they're closer, so the apparent motion is faster even though they're moving at the same speed. So shooting a silhouette from far away is good, I find. Okay. Interesting. Didn't really catch what that advertisement was for, but here we go, this guy's cool. I mean, that wasn't the best framed photo, but I got a quick shot of this guy in this really weird, funky scooter. That was cool. I should mention what that place is. Here we go, here's a lady going by. This place, it says Suika at the top, which means watermelon. And it's a soap land. And once again, Lucas and Axel find themselves in the red light district, guys. At this point, it's like a running gag. But it's not my fault that the red light districts are the most visually interesting places with the cool, colorful signage and, facades of buildings and whatnot. I didn't design them. I just shoot them. But anyway, it's a red light district, and the place is called the Soap Land, so I'll leave to your imagination what goes on there. We're going to keep the channel rated PG. I don't want to explain what actually happens, but, Google it if you're curious.
You just buy fruits.
At the Soap Land, yeah, right, it says watermelon. That's what they sell watermelon there, right? All right. So we're going to go up on this bridge and shoot some trains and stuff. But yeah, it was f4, a 2/50th, and 1000 ISO. So surely if I had f2.8, I would have used it, and I would have had 500 ISO. 1000 ISO is not too high for this camera. Or even another camera, like a Z5 or even a Z50, it's not that high. So again, I'm going to try to make the case that, of course, if you want to have a 2.8 lens, you should. And I have 2.8 lenses, and I also have prime lenses that have even bigger apertures. But if I'm using an f4, I don't feel like, oh no, I can't do night photos. Like f4 is plenty enough, at least in a city like Tokyo. Okay, but from here, one thing I do like is the view with the telephoto lens, because you can see Shinjuku way back there. And I mean, honestly, I could get even more zoom if I had like a 200 millimeter or even maybe more. That would be better. But 120, gets me pretty far in there. Just kind of a little bit tricky to think about where to focus. I guess I'm focusing all the way in the distance, but then the foreground won't be so sharp. So I want to kind of, I think I'm going to let the background buildings there be a little bit out of focus. And then I want to get the train that goes by and the stuff in the foreground in focus. I think that'll, my feeling is that if the foreground is in focus, the photo looks overall sharper than vice versa. If the background's out of focus, or in focus, but the foreground's out of focus, it doesn't look as good. Okay. It's kind of cool. It's not bad. But I really want a train arriving into the station and going the other way instead of one leaving like the one that just came, because I want to see it from, I want to see the back. Oh, there we go. That's what I want. Because the back is more interesting. It's got red lights, which kind of mimic the background red lights really well. Okay. I don't know, that was amazing. It was kind of cool. It was worth the wait. All right, let's move down the bridge a little bit, shoot a couple more things probably. Oh, I don't want to linger too much on the bridge shooting the trains. Also, people who've watched this channel for a while, you've seen us shooting on this bridge. I've used this bridge for a bunch of stuff because it's just a really cool view of trains and things moving. So we don't need to overemphasize it. But you get the idea. If you're shooting an urban landscape at night at f4, you can just slow the shutter down a little bit more. It's not that big of a difference to go from, say, a 20th to a 10th, especially with IBIS. When you're doing street photos, you're probably shooting a little bit, I'm gonna go down there, a little bit more well-lit areas than this, which means, oh, here we go, it's kind of cool. Yeah, when you're doing street photography, you're shooting more well-lit areas, so you don't need to worry so much about keeping the aperture so wide open. I mean, you could, but again, the 4 can get the job done. All right, let's see. Let's get out of here. Maybe we do 1 or 2 more shots. I always love how these two signal lights are just sort of here in the middle, and then the trains can come from either direction then on the other side, on the sides here. It's always nice if you get more than one train though. Kind of underexposed that one a little too much. Yeah, nice scene. And I got it down to a 5th, f4, 500 ISO, totally reasonable. And this is a very dark scene here in the foreground. It's quite dark. So, anyway, I don't want to wait for another train. Let's keep going. Enough trains. Plus, it's very noisy here. It's kind of hard to talk. Okay, but now I'm going to speed things back up a little bit. I'm going to keep my M, when it's on M, I'm going to keep it on a 30th. And then put it back on aperture mode to be ready for fast things. Those of you who watch this channel a lot understand this like slow mode, fast mode thing. So on my M is set to a 50th or a 30th, I want to say. Yeah, I did a 30th. Usually I do a 50th, but a 30th is about the same. And if I want to shoot something slow that doesn't require a fast shutter speed, that's what I mean by slow, I flip it on M, I'm ready to go there, but I'm going to keep it on A, which has my usual kind of high speed settings, which is auto ISO with a max ISO of 6400 and a min shutter speed of 1/250. Okay, and we're going to go into those streets and see what we can shoot there, what we're going to explore. It's funny because when Axel and I started doing this, so before Axel was the camera guy, the guy behind the camera, we were working with another guy named Sean, who's doing a great job. Before that, he kind of kick-started our channel for us. But then unfortunately, we couldn't afford to keep hiring him, you know, because we were hiring him to do this. And so we kind of took a break. This is when, you know, when the pandemic and stuff started, and we couldn't really, everything went on hold. And then that summer, Axel and I said, you know what, let's just make these videos ourselves. Let's do a very low budget. And we used Axel's phone on a cheap gimbal. And the first video we did was exactly this route. And it was kind of raining. And that video did really well. It got a lot of views for us, especially at the time. And, you know, it kind of motivated us to keep going. So this is kind of like a little bit of, we're sort of retreading the same route. I think we're going to end up in the same spots. Because again, this is like my usual path. Like I have kind of a way that I like to walk through these areas. But different lens today, different camera, everything. That time it was a D4 and a 40mm Voigtlander. Tonight it's a Z6 and 24-120. Beautiful, that's a cool scene. Again, referencing that video we shot way back when that I was just talking about. We shot this view as well into the back of this ramen shop, and the guy's working in there. Let's see if we can see somebody in there. I don't know if they're necessarily coming to frame. There we go. Oh, there we go, there we go. Yeah, I think he's posing now. I think he's like showing off. That was cool, beautiful. The steam, he was like, what do you call it? Draining the noodles, you know? What cool. What are we at? 800 ISO. So there you go, F4 is working. And in a shot like this, honestly, 2.8 could be detrimental because, you know, you obviously have a shallower depth of field, and then the foreground's gonna be too blurry, or the background's too blurry. With F4, you can kind of nail the focus on the guy and still see the foreground plenty in focus. Speaking of the foreground, let's do a more general shot just of the place, not really so much in there. And so for this shot, I can flip it to a slow shutter. I'm on my 30th. F4, 30th, 250 ISO only. This time I got him, again, draining the noodles. He's like putting them in like a sieve and then like dumping all the water out. But this time I was on a 30th, so if I got him, yeah, it's like super motion blurred, but that might be kind of cool. Right? Just different ways to shoot the same thing. It really goes to show you that you can shoot the same thing so many different ways. It's like infinite possibilities. Let's get across the street here. You know, there was another, we shot a video recently about mindfulness. And I say recently because the funny thing is we post them like weeks apart, but in my experience, we shot that a few hours ago. But you're going to be watching this video probably a few weeks after that video. But anyway, what I didn't talk about in that video, this is a different topic, but it's related, is that in Zen, right, in like Buddhism and Zen, there's this idea of like, first of all, they have something called Zazen, which is seated meditation. That just means you literally sit and meditate. But then they have another form of meditation. I forgot the name in Japanese, but the English word is praxis. It's like you meditate through practice, by doing something. And I find like street photography being like that. And another example of that is like koans. If any of you guys ever heard of koans, the cliche example being like the sound of one hand clapping or something like that, right? There's no answer to these things. There's no solution. You're supposed to just think about them in order to just think about them. Like that's basically what it is. It's not like there's a correct answer. And I find, I'm getting back to the point now, I find street photography to be sort of like that, where I can shoot that ramen shop, I'm gonna go this way, to the left here. I can shoot that ramen shop again and again and again and again, every which way, so many different ways, different settings, different lens, different camera, different times of day, different moments, blah, 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 blah. There's no like right answer. There's no definitive photo you can get of that ramen shop. And so in that sense, street photography to me is a very like Zen-like practice, right? Okay, which way is he gonna go? Is he gonna go right in front of the light, or is he gonna go left? He's gonna go left. So we're gonna go to. Wait, here goes the guard in there. Although my shadows here is kind of cool. And I'm gonna jump out of the way of the car. All right, cool. So many things just happened all at once. It's intense. Yeah, my shadow was cool. The guard was cool. The guy in front of the shop or the door was not as cool. A lot going on. But the versatility of the long zoom is useful, zooming in and out on the fly like that. Okay, we'll do a nice long shot here as well. Nice busy scene. This is another one where like, even if I had a 2.8 lens, I might shoot this on f4 anyway, because it's kind of, you know, there's a lot of depth and I want to get it all in focus. In this case on f4 and a 30th, I'm on 100 ISO because there's plenty of light here. Maybe that's also kind of highlighting a bit of a bias of mine, is that I live and shoot in this city, and this city is very well lit on average. So if you're living in a darker city, you might struggle with an f4 lens, I admit. Right? It really depends on your exact circumstances. It's kind of a cute scene. Now there's one more cool little alleyway I want to explore around here, which we've been to before in an older video. Also on the way there I could shoot this classic view with the telephoto. Oh, this food smells good around here, guys. That's one thing that we can't really convey through the camera, unfortunately, and that is how good the food smells and how good the food tastes. You're just gonna have to hopefully come to Tokyo someday for that. Okay, so this last little alleyway is right over here. Mikunikoji it's called. And I love the look in here. Really nice on rainy days. I've got tons of good shots on rainy days when that skyscraper back there, which is called Sunshine 60, is like in the fog. Looks really, really nice. Okay. But as I mentioned earlier, like because the sky is so dark, the buildings actually look a little bit too dark compared to the foreground. It's not the best, lighting conditions to shoot them. I like this snack here. The snack is like a retro karaoke, kind of like the ones we're used to in the West, where it's like an open bar where when you sing your karaoke, everyone can hear you. It's like a, I don't say the word public, so I'm just peeking in this place as well. But yeah, it's public. Like if you're singing, everyone's hearing you sing, right? It's a cute place as well. So yeah, this is kind of old school style snack. I've been in one of these before. They're very fun. The atmosphere is really good, but it's like a little intimidating if you first go in there because it's very personal. It becomes very personal very quickly. Oh, let's shoot in this direction. This is nice here with that snack in the foreground. By the way, don't ask me why they call the snack. I don't know. There's nothing to do with snacks. That name has been used for like years, since like probably the 60s or who knows how long, like back in the day. There's probably some euphemism there or some joke name, and it stuck. I'm on a 250th, no need. Let's go to a 30th. And you see, because I keep it on a 30th on M, I was on aperture, I flip to M, it's already on a 30th, and I just shoot. And that's what I mean by fast mode and slow mode, which again, we have a really old video, but an informative video about that on our channel. Okay, now from here, I think we can get a really nice shot. Again, a little bit dark tonight, but we can get a pretty good shot of sunshine up there. Again, on the 30th, I gotta underexpose more because I'm using center weighted average. Which is seeing all that darkness of the sky. Oh, these dudes in the street look pretty cool too. Let's see here. Cool. Got a whole bunch of stuff. Slow shutters, fast shutters. I'm just looking around, different angles. All right, let's keep going. All right, let me get one last one of the whole alley here. Just catching the ambiance of it. Nice atmosphere. All right, guys, so there you have it. The 24-120 f4 at night in Ikebukuro. And I think I've made my point clear. I mean, like, even if the ISOs were, of course, twice as high as they would have been on, say, f2.8, I still think the photos turn out really good. And at least in the light of Tokyo, you know, how well it's lit here, in Tokyo's night light, this lens is totally fine. You can totally get by. Now, of course, if I'm not saying you don't take it the wrong way. I'm not saying like, oh, who needs an f2.8? That's stupid. If you need it, you need it. Just saying, if this is all you can afford, or this is all you need, or you want the extra versatility because the 24-120, this is a great alternative to a 2.8 lens because, you know, as I already demonstrated. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this video informative and interesting. Axel almost got run over by this taxi. And yeah, if you like what you see, check us out on Patreon. Also, big thank you to our sponsor, portraitmode.io. I guess we'll catch you guys in the next video. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, you know, let me know. Do you guys use such a lens? Do you think it's a good lens? Do you prefer 2.8 or even bigger aperture primes? Let's discuss that. All right, so thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next video. And remember, always challenge your eye.